Welcome to another edition of Motivational Sundays with Kevin and Friends. This episode is brought to you by RMK Productions and the 10 United Network. Our purpose is hope, helping other people every single day. I hadn't added that in for a long time. But this show, it was originally created from the one of more than 300 motivational quotes that I had created for the contents of my books. And with studying human behavior for over 40 years, I got together with my friends because we were curious. How did one quote land on one person to another? Were there words that just laid there on a page, or were there a conversation to be had? And believe it or not, that was the birth of this show. Motivational Sundays with Kevin and Friends. We meet every Sunday at 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. We're probably the only podcast that we welcome our listeners to come in as long as you bring something positive. So, based on our interpretation and perspective, we talk about how these quotes land on us. And believe it or not, ladies and gentlemen, this quote, it's going to make you think, is brought to us by Dr. Stan Harris, better known to everyone as Dr. Breakthrough. So, if you don't mind, the voice of our show today is Mr. Curtis Battle. If you don't mind delivering the quote today, and Stan, you're up the bat next.
Welcome and happy Sunday. Our quote for the day is you have to be committed to and through the process of feeling bad or being bad long enough to get good. If you do that, you can get good at anything. Brought to us by Dr. Breakthrough.
All right. Drum roll. How's this quote, Stan?
Awesome, awesome. Well, when I started in the martial arts 55 years ago, I tripped over my own feet. They laughed at me. They called me even Mr. Baboon. But I was committed to and through the process of being bad, feeling bad, and I should say looking bad and doing bad long enough to the sensei, Japanese word for teacher, instructor, helped me to get good. And as a matter of fact, I got so good that I became the Pennsylvania Tri-State champion as a teenager with the grown men because teenagers weren't any competition because I worked out 4 hours every day. Then it got to a place where I got voted into the Black Belt Hall of Fame. And then it got to the place when my grandmaster passed away, he said, Dr. Breakthrough, Dr. Stan Harris, this guy we call Dr. Breakthrough, when I pass, he inherits my belt. He inherits his whole system. He's the one that I've chosen to carry my legacy. So I'm so glad I didn't quit when I was looking bad, feeling bad, and doing bad. I'm glad I was committed not just to the process, but through the process. When I started speaking years ago, I was terrible. I would go in the backyard and practice. The trees would bow. But I was committed to and through the process of speaking bad, feeling bad about my speaking until I got good. Got good enough that we've been blessed to speak in all 50 states, 28 countries. Got good enough to where I got voted into the Motivational Speakers Hall of Fame. I got good enough to where I've been paid as much as $1,000 a minute. So I'm so glad I lasted through that learning curve, that feeling bad process, that being bad process. My wife and I call her my ABCD, my adorable brown caramel delight. And my previous marriage, 26 years, I failed. 320 days a year traveling, living off 4 hours sleep, thinking I was going to save the world overnight by myself. It didn't work. I failed. It's like, what can I ever do this? Can I ever find somebody? Yeah, well, I was committed through the process, being bad, feeling bad. Okay, I need to make sure I do this as a man, this and this and this. And then I met Nadia 18 years ago, married her, and we are living. I mean, this is like beyond my dream come true. And so when I told her how I used to be, she's like, "Oh my goodness, I'm so glad you got free from that, right?" So, but again, part of that is you got to be committed to the process, being bad, even in relationships, long enough to get good. And if you do that, you can get good at anything. Matter of fact, I said, if you ever leave me, I'll leave with you. She said, big boy, if you ever try to leave, I'm leaving with you. I said, let's make a deal. She said, what's that? I said, if we leave, let's just leave together. So this morning we did our breakthrough walk early this morning. And, we were talking about some things just real quick. The other day, we usually do a lap around the neighborhood. And I do my own walks a lot longer. But anyway, and I was so proud of her because then she said, let's go a second time. I said, second time? And then like, okay, let's go a third time. I'm like, a third? Okay. And we got about halfway through that third time. She's like, okay, baby, no, I can't do this. We got to go back right now. I said, well, wait a minute now. And so I just spoke to her a little bit and I said, well, here's one thing I say to myself. And I told her, one of the things I use is, if while you walk, you don't want to quit, you haven't really walked, just keep on walking and say to yourself, suffer now, live the rest of the day a queen champion, wake up tomorrow and do it all over again. Well, she did it. She felt so good about herself. And that's the same thing, that process. So you got to be committed not just to, but through the process of being bad, feeling bad, in some cases looking bad, long enough to get good. If you do that, you can get good at anything. And everybody here that's good, you started off bad, but you just kept on keeping on. And so God bless you, each and every one of you listeners. You've got something, my friend. If you'll embrace this principle, you can get good at anything that you decide and make up your mind. God bless you.
It's amazing based on interpretation and perspectives on how we see things and how we interpret things. I mean, even standing in the middle of a storm or being stranded on the side of the road, we never remember how long we were standing on the side of the road or standing in the middle of the storm. But when the sun sets or the sun rises and we look over the horizons and we talk about how much we appreciate each lap that we take around the block, around the country, around the world, or every second that God gives us a second chance to get it right, we have a Dr. Breakthrough moment. And, we turn bad into something good. So, it's a great quote and it could be taken in many different ways. Let's go over to the island. Let's talk to Miss Lois Campbell and see how this quote lands on her. When a queen speaks, everyone listens.
Happy Sunday, everyone. So, practice becomes perfect. And no matter what you do, whether it's good or bad, the effort that you put into it plays out at the end. So, that's my take. Thank you.
All right, all right. We've all heard that quote before, and I'm sure we're going to hear more about that quote itself. With Dr. Stan laying on beds of nails or whatever. Hey, if anyone out there's got a connection with Sealy or one of those mattress people, please send Stan a mattress. He doesn't have to sleep on nails anymore. Hey, it's just a little side joke between us, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to turn this over to our military person, Mr. Christopher James, and see how this quote lands on him.
Good morning, everyone. Hey, I've got to apologize now. I've got a really shaky internet. I'll try to keep this brief. I can trust Gil to do the same thing. But what the doctor's quote really touched on for me is anything you try the first time, it's going to be rough. It's going to be rugged. You've seen it done. You give it your best shot to shadow those exact movements, and it comes up a little shy of what you saw. This may not be for me. That's the bad. That's the way. That's what I recognize as the doctor's representation of bad. And a lot of times, folks will just drop it and walk away. But you don't win like that. You don't get any better like that. You've got to get through the bad to really appreciate first the intent of what you're trying to do, and then you will make your own little adjustments so you'll make it perfect to you. And in that acceptance, in that transformation of whatever you're doing, making it perfect to you, you'll make it perfect in anybody's aspect, anybody's way of looking at it. It's when you own it and it becomes a very special thing to you, you'll make it perfect. At that point, it's perfect. In a real quick nutshell, we've all attempted things and they most often may have turned out bad, but it's that desire to not only get it right, get it perfect, but leave your own mark on it. Make it yours, and that's where we make it perfect.
All right. Well, since you're standing so close to the next speaker, we're gonna find out if she agrees if with this quote, good or bad. But before we go on, we have people that have just tuned in. I'm going to ask the voice of our show to deliver the quote one more time, so anyone that's just tuning in can catch up to see what this wonderful quote, Dr. Breakthrough or Dr. Stan Harris, has brought us and how this quote lands on you. So, Mr. Battles, the voice of our show, will you deliver the quote one more time?
I will. Happy Sunday to all. Our quote is, you have to be committed to and through the process of feeling bad or being bad long enough to get good. If you do not do that, if you do that, you can get good at anything.
All right, Gilda. All right, been married for 300 years. You got to go through some good and some bad. I mean, to the point that, you know, uh, our Christopher doesn't even mind you dressing him in the morning anymore. Gilda, how's the cold land on you?
Grand Rising. The quote how the quote landed on me. You must be willing to be unskilled to become an expert. That's what landed on me.
All right, you must be willing to commit to being unskilled and open to
To
being an
become an
expert.
expert.
All right, all right, all right. Look at that. All right, all right. This is about the most words you've spoken for the whole year. Okay. uh, uh, but I'm going to tell you, like the shot that's heard around the world. You know, when they say if a tree falls, can you hear it? All right, sure. I know the guy that caught the tree heard it, so I know it could be heard. So Curtis Battles, all right, you're the voice of the show, and you're going to be the runner up to being the last person on here. But just had Denise. She has returned from her travels to some amazing places and got a chance to relax. And we haven't heard about that book that you had in a while. You're writing, you've been speaking or whatever. Let's talk about how this quote lands on you, Miss Denise Lopes.
Hi, Grand Rising, everybody. Yeah, my vacation was it was so much fun, and I got to do some work to go to visit the school. So it was glad to talk to the teachers over there and see how things are really different and how I should be grateful what I have over here. Um, this quote landed on me. It brings me back when I was starting to learn how to dance samba, because in Cape Verde, my island, samba is like a tradition. They call my island the Little Brazil. So when I used to go, I thought I didn't know how to dance. I'm like, no, I didn't get used to it. I'm like, these girls could dance. Like, I don't know if I'll be able to do that. And after I came, I started taking classes. I went to Cambridge to take classes, and after I started taking online, and I took workshops doing summer too. And I noticed that they did not know how to dance. They were just jumping like they. So for me, I had to push through. I had to figure out, like, I don't know it. I want to learn it. I want to get better at it. So now when I go back, I'm like, yeah, I know, because I took the time to be a beginner, to learn. Uh, and that showed me that now I could dance. I'm one of the best. Like, I could say that now. But in the beginning, I was like, this thing, I'm not going to be able to do it. And pushing through and making mistakes, and the teacher, the instructor telling me, no, that's not how you do it. That's how you do it. So I had an open mind. So you have to go through the process. You have to have an open mind. For me, that's how it landed on me. Like, I had to have an open mind. I had to say, like, this is something new. I didn't grow up in Cape. Like, I came when I was 14, so I didn't get the chance. So now I'm gonna give myself the chance to learn, to make mistakes, and to get better. And I've been getting better. I still take classes. I still have my class because I want to get better. I want to be able to say, yes, I am a samba dancer. I know how to do it. And that's how it landed on me.
And if you guys have not seen any of Denise's videos on her Instagram page or whatever, She does more than just cutting the rug. That girl, she's art in real life. It's just beautiful. And believe it or not, you know, some of the greatest messages that we've ever received have come through our music and our expressions of our dance. If you hadn't seen the movie Sinner, it's a great interpretation of bad and good, and the message is strong, especially when it talks about being true to your faith. So we've gotten to the this part of the show that Mr. Curtis Battles, the voice of our show, gets to do his interpretation, and then I got to follow all you wonderful people. I mean, God, is it good or bad? I don't know. I'll wait to see what Curtis Battles has to say based on his interpretation. Curtis, the voice of the show, give us the quote one more time, and based on your interpretation or perspective, tell us how this quote lands on you.
Our quote for today is, you have to be committed to and through the process of feeling bad or being bad long enough to get good. If you do that, you can get good at anything. So this landed on me in a very personal way because I have been an entrepreneur for the past 15 years. And so it's always about fail forward fast. You know you're going to make mistakes. You know there are going to be good days. You know there are going to be bad days. But it's always about having the perseverance that there is a bright and sunny end to all this. And people all along the way will say, oh, you shouldn't do that. Oh, that's too hard. Oh, nobody's going to come and buy that piece of thing. Oh, nobody's going to want to talk to you. And you just have to say, I'm going to keep doing this. I'm going to keep investing both in myself and in my vision. And it will come to a place where it all comes together and people will say, "Oh my God, I didn't know you had been so successful at that. It seems like did you just do that now? I just found you on whatever place, whether it's LinkedIn or Instagram. I didn't know that you had that ability and did those kinds of things." So I think that this is such a proper and exact depiction of what happens in my world every single day. So I am so happy Dr. Breakthrough brought this quote because it really has landed on me and touched my heart. And that's how I interpreted this quote.
So many great interpretations of one single quote, and I want to thank Dr. Breakthrough for bringing this quote because it does make you think. It does give you a certain sensation or feeling. And so, early on, when I was thinking about this quote, I got stuck on the words good or bad, and good or evil, Cain and Abel, all these other things and whatever. And looking at this quote, it says, when you have to be committed to and through the process of feeling bad or being bad long enough to get good. If you do that, you can get good at anything. And I was struggling, good or bad, based on interpretation and perspectives, and that's what we talk about. The quote could emphasize a person's personal skill set as something that he or she has developed over time, and the persistence of their efforts to be good or to endure what other people won't. And it brings me back to um, I'm going to go backwards and I'm going to come back forward. Is that I remember how I started my football career. I started out on a lie. All right. I told my dad I was playing football, and I survived 2 weeks of living that lie, which most people could say was bad. My father had two rules in his house that was passed down by his grandfather. He didn't like liars or thieves, and there was a penalty to be paid, and I was not willing to suffer the penalty, but I did take the risk, thinking I would never be discovered. So for most people would say that was bad. Now, what made it bad was the day that I came home from football practice. My father was waiting for me with Big John Sr., ready to take me to football practice. Nor did I know when I created this line that John Jr. was actually on the football team that I claimed to be on. And John Sr. was sitting with my dad, riding shotgun in the Chevy Impala, and they dropped me off at football practice. And if you can imagine this, I want you to realize I lived 5 miles away from where the football practice was. told my father I was running late and that I would run instead of taking a ride. Well, little did my father know that I had not been on the football field, and he insisted that I take that ride. And so before we turned the corner to Grace Acre Green, I saw the football field for the very first time. I looked for the only familiar face, Coach Russo. All right. Now you tell me this is good or bad. You did based on your interpretation. Before my father hit the brakes, the Chevy Impala that my father owned was still rolling. And I got out in perfect stride and ran down to the hill. And Coach Russo, Joe Russo, the freshman football coach at Dayton Roosevelt in Dayton, Ohio, I ran downhill, and I told him, I said, Coach Russo, I told my father I was on the football team. All right. And if my father found out that I had lied, I can't even begin to explain to you what was going to happen to him. He looked up. My father was looking at him. And to this very day, they never told me. All right. I think they knew the truth. All right. But it took me 2 years to learn what football was about. And I went to practice every single day. And because of being committed to my word, whatever Coach Russo told me to do, I did it to the letter. Told me to go knock someone down. I didn't know how I was going to do it, but I was knocking someone down because Coach Russo did it. Like I said, I got most valuable freshman in the city of Dayton that year and went on to receive a lot of honors. So based on what Lois has said, Coach Russo told me, when he said practice makes perfect, he said practice makes permanent. He said, depending on what you're consistent in doing every single day, it could be either permanently wrong. And think about how many times that people says, I don't know what in relationships, why this keeps happening to me. It's because we keep repeating the same process or the same things and expecting a different outcome, but we don't do anything to change. And this quote all talks about is bring about sacrifice and doing the things that change. And what makes bad good, as Dr. Breakthrough talked about his martial arts experience, good becomes resilience. And that's being consistent over time. Practice becomes being patient to learn the skill set that needs to be there in order to live out the life or whatever event you're doing to become perfect. The perfect example this weekend, Mr. Sanders, Deion Sanders' son, performed as starting role, and everyone says they were throwing the lamb into the lion's den. Little did you know, there was two things, and I wrote this to Deion to say is, look, what gives us the opportunity to be whoever we want to be that day. And I said, that's what everyone needs, an opportunity. Every last one of us has started out our careers, our first job, not knowing one single thing that we're going to do, but someone took a risk on us. The one thing I say about Deion Sanders, I say about each one of the people that are on this platform, is that we all took a risk. We took a risk on this show that we would be here for at least a couple of years. We didn't know, but we took a risk and we showed up every single day and we participated. Deion Sanders' son has been working at the day that he had yesterday as a starting quarterback in the NFL since the time he came out of the womb. The only two people that Deion Sanders' son, Shador, needs to answer to is the two coaches that he has in his life. And that is one, God, and that is his father. And the one thing he delivered is that when the opportunity presented itself, he turned something bad into something good. So based on your interpretation and how you look at things, you take a piece of everything that everyone on this platform has said, you look out into the world and said, look, we've all had overcome some stuff. The people that are thriving in life has done something that other people won't do. And the only time that anything ever becomes bad is when you give up on you. All right. So that's how that quote landed on me. Dr. Stan, Dr. Breakthrough, I want to thank you for bringing such a wonderful quote. I want to thank each and every last one of our guests or our people that have listened to this show. And I want you to remember this. And I'm going to throw this in, and this is something I take from my show, Talking with Kevin and Friends. To grow, you must make some mistakes. To be confident, you have to address your anxieties. To forgive yourself, you must hold you accountable. To learn, you must unlearn some stuff. And to exist, you have to do what every last one of my co-hosts has done, Dr. Stan, Lois, Denise, Curtis, Gilda, and Christopher. You have to know the power of your words. And with that said, my grandfather always said, when you get to a point in life that you can help someone else out, he says your duty to do so. He said, reach one, teach one. And he said, what?
We fade the black.
And make sure you come back.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, until next week. Thank you, everyone, for listening. Thank you, everyone. You can find us on YouTube at RMK Productions and Network. If you'd like to be on the show, the link to the show is in the product description on there. And I just want to thank all my guests 100,000 times. Find 1,000 reasons to be kind to someone. That's my hashtag. And with that said, we're out.